Hello there, you beautiful people. My name is Willow's Duality, and welcome to the greatest game of Forged Alliance Forever I've ever had the honor of casting. Thank you for joining me for this feature-length FAF cast, and make sure to grab yourself a snack or a drink before totally annihilating that like button as we settle in for an action-packed game. Let's go ahead and get into introducing the players, starting in the top right with Team 1. And the air position, of course, his name is Ladlike, and he is a green Seraphim starting first land. And moving on to the west of him, we have ourselves a red Aeon going first land by the name of Zydeem. Moving over to the south, we have ourselves a blue Aeon Seraphim and two Aeon walk into a bar. You write the punchline down below in the comments, and his name is the name 01. Moving to the southeast, we have ourselves another green Seraphim. Luckily, they're on the same team, so all I have to do is confuse their name about 100 times, as his name is Locustron, and he is gone first land. Moving to the last player for Team 1, but certainly not least, his name is Nub Fried Rice, and he is an orange Cybran going first land, and he is rocking this southern position. Moving on to Team 2 in the bottom left-hand corner with their air player first, as always, we have a gray Aeon going by the name of NM1501. And moving to the north, we have ourselves a Cyan Cybran going first land. And we know him, we love him, and we know his comm needs to be there. His name is Thurnis Haley, and he's rocking this northern position. Over to the east, we have a purple UEF going by the name of Tourist, and he's walking his stuff. He's strutting himself to the middle of the map. And to the east of him, there is a green Cybran by the name of Ikrik, a channel supporter. And he, of course, did just get his replay review. I don't know if that's out before or after this, but if it's after this, then ooh, future. And, of course, last but not least, we have a white UEF going first land. And not to be outdone, he is a white UEF. He is the Titan King. He is Icy Nightmare. And with everybody introduced, let's talk about the map. The map is Dunes of Arracis, and it has about 21,000 reclaim, and it's just a simple land map. Go throw your units at the other units and see how they do in land. You have air players, but fuck them, who needs them? And of course, let's go ahead and talk about why this is the greatest game of FAF I've ever had the honor of casting. This was handed to me just a couple of days ago, and I am so excited to get into it. It is gonna be a long one, and it is going to be action-packed and amazing. We have a few minutes of reprieve here in the beginning, but when I say this game is amazing, and the most amazing game I've seen, you have to take into account I've done nearly 200 casts. I have watched a lot of replays, and this one tops all of them. So get ready, because we're about to get strapped in for easily one of the greatest casts I will ever do. Now then, early on, we have a little bit of fighting going on over here. We have an Aurora and a Spirit Scout out from Zydeem coming out over here to start firing into the enemy units, harassing Thurnis Haley, stopping one of those expanding engineers, seemingly an engineer out from Tourist, as it's a UEF one, and Thurnis is a Cybran. True to brand loyalty, he is. And the Aurora going to get shut down by a couple of Mantis out from Thurnis, but not before the Aurora manages to pick off a Mantis of its own. So that Aurora going to shut down some of the expansion opportunities for Tourist, as well as kill off a Mantis. That's a mass efficient Aurora if ever we've seen one. No early bombers, but as I say that, there's a lie. I told you this game's gonna have everything. We have an early bomber out from Nub Fried Rice trying to put some pressure onto Icy Nightmare, as Icy Nightmare's managed to just get out a ton of units early, already up to 3 land factories producing. is Icy, and he does not seem to be slowing down anytime soon. 2 more just instantly completing for the man. I do remember he used to say he played this map all the time, so I am sure he's going to have a blistering build order for you all to follow. Down in the comments, there will be the replay ID, of course. Early bombers out from both Icy Nightmare and Nub Fried Rice. Nub Fried Rice didn't manage to find a kill. Does seem to be going after some tanks out from Icy Nightmare, but only manages to pick up 1. That's going to be a little bit less than what you'd want. The bomber definitely costs a lot more than the tanks, so he's going to need to pick up a little bit more to make this mass efficient. But Icy Nightmare not really microing the tanks means that this is going to be a couple more kills for the bomber. Has 112 mass killed and is going to get shot down by some interceptors. Over here on the eastern side, Icy trying to raid but finding stiff opposition and deciding against it. Ikrik over here in the middle, he's a little bit surrounded by units, going to need to be a bit careful over here. And of course, as he's just kind of chilling over here, but you know what? He's not in danger. There's not enough here to kill him. I don't know why. It's like he needs to be a little bit careful over here. But overall, speed now on the way for the name 1. And many things going on. We have a little bit of air battles going on across the map. Nothing major. A few more raiding units out from Icy Nightmare. Over here on the eastern flank, of course, Icy Nightmare and Nub Fried Rice, both 17 and 1800 respectively. These players very high rated. This game has an eclectic mix of both pros and subpar commanders, in my opinion, as we have some average players and then we have 2 pros, 2 average players, and the rest of them are about my level, which is subpar. And that's just kind of how it's going to be shaking out so far. Both the far north and the far south corners are being controlled by the more competent players. So Zydeem and Thurnis Ailey on the northern side is an area for us to keep our eyes on. And down here in the south, of course, Icy Nightmare. In the middle, Nub Fried Rice and Ikrik getting into it, and Icy Nightmare nowhere to be seen. Nub Fried Rice trying to get an early scalp down onto the lowest rated player on Team 2. It is, of course, Ikrik. If he can manage to get this kill, it will be huge for the team of, or for Team 1, I don't know, the team of Nub Fried Rice is what I should have said. I can't speak, as Ikrik starts taking terrible, terrible damage on the comp, and he's just gonna die. He doesn't have any way out of this as the 2 players for Team 1 get together. Locustron and Nub Fried Rice claim the earliest kill they could onto Ikrik. Poor man, as he gets taken out here just shy of the 7-minute mark, or just past the 7-minute mark, in fact. And here in the middle, Locustron getting speed and range. There's going to be a ton of pressure right here, and it's not full share. So this is all on Icy. Icy now needs to hold this entire flank by himself, and if there was ever a man to ask for such an overwhelming task and how to complete it, and especially here at this early T1 phase, it's Icy Nightmare. He is one of the best T1 land players I've ever seen. He makes stuff happen with these units that we just haven't seen any other players on this channel do, really. And he's kind of just destroying Nub Fried Rice's production and main base right now. He's managed to get in with just a few units and cause quite a bit of damage. And I bet Nub Fried Rice is having a little bit of trouble with production and keeping it going. He's getting kind of close to stalling on mass, as he, of course, is being attacked by multiple angles. He does have a couple of T1 bombers, by a couple I mean a fuckload, now built up to go ahead and deal with any more incursions, but he's just kind of behind on the land game. And as we go ahead and check the mass numbers over here at around 8.5 minutes, we have ourselves 43 mass a second for Icy Nightmare. Zydeem sitting on 50, but Nub Fried Rice sitting on 23. He is far behind his opponent. And Icy Nightmare is able to abuse an early lead quite easily. Over here to the west, the name 01 fighting against Taurus. Taurus has a little bit of a fire base built up. Locustron pushing on the Taurus as well. Thurnis Haley trying to show up with some units to help the tourist out, but these units are just going to be a troublesome bunch. The name forced to fall back, but a few of the production structures for tourists are shut down, and that's going to really hurt his ability to get back out onto the map. And right now, map control seemingly heading in the direction of Team 1. Zydeem up here in the north doing pretty good, managing to secure the corner. Icy Nightmare in the other corner doing his part, getting the corner, and now pushing straight into the middle of Nub Fried Rice's base. Over here on the west, it seems as though Thurnis is posturing to get a little bit more aggressive, and maybe he will be able to do so. Walls going up on the northern side of the map for Zydeem. And in the center, Locustron has T2, so does Tourist. A slew of upgrades going on across the map. T2 on the way for Icy Nightmare. He's very partial to that T2 upgrade. And overall, these players just at each other's throats. Constant aggression going on. The entire map lit up with units. Icy Nightmare pushing into the base, while Thurnis Haley on the other flank is trying to push against the units of Name 01, trying to shut him down, trying to push him back, trying to relieve some pressure for his ally. The units for Icy Nightmare will eventually be cleaned up. Thurnis Haley getting a huge run by into the back line, but what is he going to achieve for this? He got in, but at what cost? This force is now forfeit. He doesn't have an escape route. Now it's the question of how much damage can he deal, and it looks as though he's going to try and go all the way. Zydeem, of course, being an Aeon, going to have to spam a bunch of flares, but flares don't do well into Mantis, so the Mantis are going to get a little bit more damage than they deserve if Zydeem was playing anything but Aeon, as these Auroras are going to have a lot of trouble chasing down the Mantis, as in fact Auroras are slower. Right now, Zydeem seemingly ecoing quite hard, and overall, let's go ahead and check on those reclaim numbers. Right now, Thurnis Haley in the lead at 4.4 thousand reclaim, Icy Nightmare behind him for Team 2, and then for Team 1, we have Zydeem sitting on 6.7 thousand mass reclaim, and nobody else on his team passing 4,000. So overall, that's going to leave the reclaim game at a dead even standstill. As we look at mass generation, though, we can see a slight lead for Team 1 occurring of about 10 to 20 mass a second, which can be mostly attributed to the death of Ikrik, which of course has left kind of an economic hole here in the center of the map. But Icy Nightmare trying to push back. He's pushed Nub Fried Rice back into the corner of his base. He's just got the core mexes and a couple of expansion mexes, and he is just kind of stuck here. He's spamming hunters in a desperate attempt to just stop anything from coming in, trying to inflate the numbers of his units, trying to make the radar look scary, make it look like he has a bunch of units, but these units just die to strikers. They have good DPS, but they're not going to do well in a heads-up fight with even mass totals on both sides. Overall, Icy showing up with a bunch more units. Icy up to T2 land and now producing Sparkies, which he is a big fan of Sparkies, and I will not be surprised to see Triads start to spring up across this eastern side of the map. I know higher rated players generally not a fan of static defense, but Icy makes it work. He has a unique playstyle, which is hard to say for a lot of players. A lot of the higher rated players kind of do the same things in my opinion, but Icy has this distinct playstyle, and I'm excited to see if he can show it off for us today. There's a reason I call him the Titan King, and there's a reason that he convinced me to put a Sparky emote as one of the channel membership rewards, because Sparkies are dope, and we're going to see if he can show us off the power of the Sparky today. I don't know where that original Sparky went. It is heading out over here. It doesn't have an order yet, but it's just on a rally point. Over here to the eastern side, that Hunter force that looked really big and imposing is pretty much dead now, and I think if Icy realized it was mainly Hunters, he would realize he can just move his forces eastward and just kill off this entire breakout push out from Nub Fried Rice. Let's stop looking at this southern side of the map, as it's gotten enough attention already. Thurnis over here, he's building hoplites. Let's see if he can manage to surpass my expectations. I think Thurnis can build hoplites. I don't think Thurnis should build hoplites. I think his focus is better spent somewhere else. But he's going to try and use these APM-heavy Cybran range bots to get a little bit of value. He's going to be going for these... I guess he could go for the hydrocarbons, but I don't know if the name is really relying on them very much. Over here to the far north, a bunch of walls constructed, at an entire Illuminati of walls made by Zydeem as he tries and builds up fortifications to last for the ages. We'll have to see if it's in vain or if he does indeed achieve a sturdy position in this game. Zydeem on this northern flank doing a little bit better, and overall the mass lead for Team 1 is skyrocketing. They're up to almost 40 mass a second, now at 40 mass a second lead over their opponents. They have the mass lead. Icy Nightmare and NM1501 doing very well. As far as the air game is concerned, both sides 2 T3 air. It hasn't come into play. We haven't heard or seen any strat bombers. There's not been any kind of major air damage. So overall, these players and these teams not really being affected by the air. It's just been a land fight, but I'm sure that'll be soon to change. Over here in the center, a bunch of flapjacks out from Taurus trying to push Locustron off this position. And of course, Locustron still firebasing, gonna try and build up enough shields and TMD to deal with this, but I think that the tactical missile launchers or the mobile missile launchers coming out from the Taurus are gonna be able to deal with this. Flapjack's pretty good at taking down bases, not as good as the Viper, of course, but we can't all aspire to be Cybran. I know that some of us have to be lowly UEF or even, God forbid, the Seraphim. And of course, now the fire base here in the middle for Locustron falling apart. The unfortunate lad gonna lose all of his hard-fought investment. He's gonna lose these artillery before they really even pay themselves off, and that's gonna hurt him a whole hell of a lot. Icy still focusing on containing Nub Fried Rice, and Nub Fried Rice still sitting on 32 mass a second versus the 101 of Icy. Icy really taking over this eastern side of the map and really working it for all it's worth. Over here on the northern side of the map, a lot more stagnant, not as much fighting going on, nobody really going whole hog into throwing their units at the opponent. But we have T3 land finished up now for Zydeem as he starts building Harbingers, and we have T2 land for Thurnus. This could be a tech disparity that would really hurt Thurnus. I wonder if he has indeed scouted the Harbinger threat. He has. He knows his opponent's on T3 land, and he needs to come up with a response. I think that Thurnus should probably already be going for T3, but the thing is, he's on such a low mass total. This northern side is the exact inverse of what's happening on the eastern side for Icy. Right now, Thurnus is struggling for economy. He's sitting on 43 mass a second versus 122. Zydeem is absolutely blowing him out of the water, and this entire map now split about 50-50 as we swap between the teams. Maybe a little bit of a map territory advantage to Team 2, but a mass advantage of almost 100 mass a second now forming between Team 1 and Team 2. This is very quickly becoming untenable for Team 2. This mass advantage is about to start showing itself, and it's about to start showing itself over here in the northwest, where Thurnus is starting to be attacked by the flares and aurora of Zydeem. And Zydeem gonna be in a very powerful position. Thurnus's comm over here is just gonna be mowed down if he doesn't start falling back very soon. His units are gonna fall apart. They're going to melt in the face of all of these units out from Zydeem. He has a bunch of hoplites, but what are these hoplites gonna do? It's Harbingers. Harbingers are fine. They'll deal with it. They have shields. Not to mention the Asylum mobile shields. He's gonna try and push back Zydeem, which he can do right now, but he's quickly losing all of his units. And over on the eastern side, Icy Nightmare is kind of just inflicting pain upon Nub Fried Rice, who has started building Cerberus in an attempt to stop this. And over here, I was speaking about it earlier, and we'll continue to look at the Harbingers. Harbingers continuing to get massive value over here. A few of them getting to 1 rank of veterancy already. Zydeem killed off by a strat bomber, though. I completely missed it. There was a snipe. I wasn't even paying attention. Snipe out from NM1501. And Thurnus claiming, thank God, in this freaking chat, saying, oh, Thurnus just getting his shit kicked in there, and a snipe out from NM1501, the unlikely carry, but the 900 rated coming in with a snipe, the strat bombers to kill off Zydeem. And as I was saying, over here to the east, we have Triads now going up for Icy Nightmare. He's using a Sparky to build them up. You only see a few right now, but I will not be surprised to see basically a line like this, just trying to box out any kind of breakthrough for Nub Fried Rice. He's not building these in a hopes that they are going to be some unbreakable position. He's going to be building these specifically to just make it harder for his opponent to advance. The Triad itself isn't going to do anything. They're there to enhance his forces, to give his forces more time to get to the front, to give his forces a bit of a HP pool advantage. Over here, Nub Fried Rice now starting to push Icy Nightmare off of his territory, and that mass advantage that I was talking about here has shrunk by about 50%. Zydeem making up a huge proportion of the mass advantage that Team 1 was, of course, holding. And now Team 1 in a bit of a difficult position. They're going to need to start pushing back somewhere. Here in the middle, still looking good for Team 1, but they need to worry about both of their flanks now. Thurnis and Icy are in prime position to abuse their position, as they are both sitting on very large swaths of land. Thurnis is going to take a little bit of time to come online. That's the saving grace for Team 1 right now. They have a bit of time to come online. They have a bit of time for the name 01 and for Ladike to show up, build up these mass extractors, get a strong eco going, and that might be enough. But over here on the northern side, Thurnis not willing to sit idly by and watch his opponents re-expand to the dead carcass of his opponent Zydeem. He's going to be sending out units in a very aggressive way far over here to the north, throwing out units to fight off the name 01 and try and stop any expansion coming out from any player on Team 1 towards this western side. And over here to the southeast, we have some Harbingers now being produced by the name 01, trying to fight off Icy Nightmare, trying to buy some room for the 1700 rated, trying to buy some room for Nub Fried Rice, who is struggling to get his footing this game, just hasn't been able to get himself in a firm position to just start throwing blows at Icy Nightmare. I thought down here in the southeastern corner we would see a fight of two titans, but it does seem as though Icy is the only titan around, as he has managed to contain Nub Fried Rice and kind of curtail his effect on the game, kind of pin him into a very, very mass-hungry role. He can't eco, because anytime he tries to eco, it seems that units just show up in his base. Maybe now, with getting up some of these T2 defensive structures, he can buy himself some breathing room. Icy Nightmare now invading the northern side of the map as he's a run-by of pillars, parashields, and flapjacks coming in to try and deal some damage to this expansion attempt out from Ladike. It doesn't seem that Icy's paying attention to this. This seems to be like an idle command. He's just like, go up there and do stuff. And he's just happy to let his units die. But Icy is being supported by Thurnis, who's coming in with a large force behind this run-by. I think this run-by may have actually hurt the chances of Thurnis getting any meaningful damage done, as these point defense have now been spammed up by Ladike to try and stop these units out from Icy. That means that the units out from Thurnis unable to get any meaningful lasting damage other than denying the continued expansion of Ladike to the west. And as I said, I predicted it and I was right. Icy sitting over here, building himself a wall of triads, building himself a literal wall and a wall of triads, building himself just a containment area, making it harder. These loyalists, going to be a lot harder for the loyalists to break out now. And of course, Icy now on T3 land himself, going to be in a good position himself. And overall, these players just going blow for blow. Team 1 no longer in an economic advantage. Team 2 taking it over with Icy Nightmare at the lead at over 200 mass a second. Strap Bomber coming out to kill off a couple of pillars in the back of the base. Awasa on the way now for Ladike. And that might be significant, as I think he has the air advantage. Let's go ahead and check on the number of ASFs for both sides. 23 for Ladike, NM sitting on 1501, 40, or NN 1501 sitting on 41. So no, in fact, Ladike behind on ASF count. He's about half the ASF count of NM 1501. And the question comes down to, how will they deal with this? Now, Team 2 in the power position, able to push against Team 1 pretty easily, as they now have the eco advantage and the map control advantage. It's looking pretty bleak, pretty dire for Team 1. Gonna have to see if they can manage to get their way out of this horrible situation, or if it's just gonna be a slow, painful death at the hands of their opponents. Strat Bomber out for Ladike, going down very quickly. He tried to get a really good air fight off of it, but it doesn't seem like it's going to go very well, as Ladike is just going to lose all of his ASF to NM1501. And over here on the eastern side, these walls causing pathfinding havoc for the units of Nub Fried Rice. A very nice play out of Icy, setting up these walls to force the Loyalists to try and go down this very awkward path. And he doesn't have any T3 units, but they are Loyalists, so he will eventually be able to whittle this down. But will the Loyalists be able to break out and get any meaningful damage done? I don't believe so. I think Icy probably has enough here to deal with it and just keep chasing them down. And even if not, he has T3 land of his own. I would be surprised not to see some units coming out. And of course, Icy Nightmare living up to his name, already on to Titan production, up to 5 Titans. And he's doing a lot of support factories, building Titans and various other units. He likes spearheads as well. Claims they are great for breaking bases whenever the Titans can't. I'm sure we're going to see a ton of parashields coming out, because that's how he likes to run his Titan loadout. Titans, parashields, anti-air, and spearheads. He likes to mix all of those together in, I guess, probably pretty specific amounts. And gonna have to see how it works out for him this game, see if he can make it happen. Over here on the eastern side, Trebuchet is now coming out from Nub Fried Rice to try and break the position of Icy Nightmare. You can see them raining their powerful hell down onto the UEF front lines. But unfortunately, it may be too little and it may be too late, as Nub Fried Rice is just in a difficult position any way you cut it. Not gonna really be in a great fighting position for everything going on. The Loyalists do get through. They kill off a few mexes, but Icy kind of has some build power just spread throughout the field. I would be surprised if this area would remained unclaimed for a long period of time. Even already has Engineer coming down here, probably going to be building an experimental pretty soon. The Owasso has completed. The question is, what will it be able to do? Do not lift the Owasso. If he lifts the Owasso, it dies faster. If he doesn't lift it, the Owasso dies slower. He's going to try and build some AA, but lifting the Owasso can also have the danger. If he tries and moves it the wrong way, he could drop it off map, lose all of the reclaim for himself, and he just did! No! The worst possible play! He drops the Owasso way off the map where it can no longer be reclaimed. Ladike! Why? Just leave it on the ground. If it's on the ground and it dies, you can just rebuild it with the reclaim. Or throw that reclaim into getting more mass. Another strat snipe on the way, and it looks as though the name 01 has been slated for death, as there's just nothing here. There's no ASF out from Ladike. The name 01 popping underneath a shield just in time to save his hide from the units that were bearing down on him like vultures out from NM1501. Those strat bombers trying to get another kill onto Team 1, trying to scalp off the players. Over here in the southeast, a bunch of units out from Icy Nightmare now pushing into Nub Fried Rice. Nub Fried Rice trying to save his trebuchets, his beautiful, beautiful siege engines, the superior siege engine, and it seems that today they are not superior. It seems that the pillars and the flapjacks and the parashields are going to be able to push in, kill off some of the trebuchets, maybe even kill off some of these mass extractors, and leave Nub Fried Rice on a pitiful economy still. As Icy continues the aggression, continues to put damage down onto Nup Fried Rice. The only thing you can mention about this that might be bad is Nup Fried Rice is getting a lot of reclaim, but he's not even getting as much reclaim as Icy. Icy can throw these units at him and still manage to get more reclaim. What the hell is going on? Nup Fried Rice is in such a spot of bother, in such a difficult position. And I don't see how Team 1's going to be able to deal with this. The middle position, I didn't even have time to talk about it, but this was broken, I believe, also by Icy using a bunch of Titans. Locustron was forced back. I think it might be Locustron, but I like Locustron. Was forced back to his main base. He was firebasing up here. That seemingly was broken by the Flapjack spam, and then it was broken further by a bunch of units pushing forward. So far, the only player with any real map presence out from Team 1 is the name 01, and he just has a few sparse buildings that haven't quite been cleaned up yet by the Flapjack crew of Tourist. Over here to the north, a bunch of T2 units, Obsidians, starting to push in towards Thurnus Haley, who's had a lot of trouble getting his footing as well, but he's over 100 mass income a second, and he's starting to get a lot going on for him. And he's cleaning up this run-by out from the name 01, and Team 1 needs a plan. They need a solution to all of their woes, because they're just kind of struggling against the weight that Icy Nightmare and NM1501 mainly have placed onto their shoulders. That strat snipe was brutal. Zydeem dying left such a huge power vacuum over there on that northern side. And Thurnus may not have filled it, but he was putting pressure on. He was the only player on Team 1 seemingly able to consistently gain ground against his opponent. And that strat snipe was huge out from NM1501. And over here on the eastern side, Icy has just been manhandling Nup Fried Rice and really has just set himself up for success. He has half of the map pretty much to himself, if not half, at least a third of the map. And he is ecoing really hard, already up to almost 350 mass a second here at the 30-minute mark. And it's just not looking good for Team 1. Team 1 needs to start gaining some ground. A nuke launcher is the play that Ladike is going for, and that seemingly could be the best play. I don't think there's any anti-nuke built just yet by any of the players. No, there's an anti-nuke for Icy Nightmare, but I'm pretty sure that covers Icy Nightmare and nobody else. Yeah, that protects Icy. Icy is looking out for numero uno. But he's the only one with an anti-nuke. Have they scouted the nuke? They haven't scouted it. So this is just paranoia out from Icy. And yet again, going back to my recent series with the replay reviews where I'm trying to give you advice, paranoia good. 30 minutes, no anti-nuke, you're dumb. Just get one. It's so much cheaper than losing your entire base because you didn't scout a nuke. Isn't it? And, yeah, Icy deciding that these remnant structures out from the name 01 do not belong on his side of the map. And whenever I say his side of the map, I mean his side of the map. He has taken this area and he is determined, seemingly, to contain Team 1 into this corner. Icy Nightmare is trying to be a constricting force against Team 1, but Team 1 is fighting back. Team 1 is trying to show us that they are here to fight, and they are here to fight for the trophy, trying to win. There's no trophy. Why did I say that? As the name 01 shows up with the Galactic Colossus. The Galactic Colossus. The worst of the land experimentals changed my mind, but nonetheless, better when your opponents don't have any. And as far as I can tell, nobody on Team 2 has an experimental of any kind. A Fat Boy on the way now for Tourist, but this GC gonna be able to deal with this force. This GC, with the assistance it has, can definitely deal with this giant Titan force, and it's coming at a crucially needed time as Icy is now threatening the main base. This Titan force can easily blow through the few defenses here and just get into the main base of Ladike. And overall, Ladike is kind of throwing everything into a nuke. Another GC currently on the way. The GC is going to start killing off a lot of these Titans for Icy Nightmare, as the name 01 focuses on being the team's Roomba and cleaning up all these pesky, dirty problems to the north. In the south, there's an extended kind of standoff tactic war going on, and Icy is slowly losing some ground. He's losing some triads. He's losing some walls. He's not necessarily doing as good as he was a little bit ago, and Nub Fried Rice is starting to push back. Nub Fried Rice has slowly but surely improved his position this game. Slowly but surely managed to get a little bit of an eco underneath himself. He is still massively behind, but he's trying. All of Team 1 is trying. And if they can get something concerted going on, this could be amazing for them. The nuke launcher is almost done loading. The restorer spam out from NM1501, which I didn't even notice, not really paying attention to air, am I? Is coming in. It seems as though these are targeted onto something. Are they just trying to get to the nuke launcher? It seems they're zeroed in on it. The nuke launcher is going to finish, and there's not nearly enough restorers here to stop it. So that's just a huge mass donation. Speaking of reclaim, over 86,000 mass on the map, and most of it right here in this base. This is going to be a fuck ton of reclaim for Team 1 to scoop up, and that might have been a mistake out of Icy. Sending that force to the north when the GC was in play, that could have been a huge mistake. This is a ton of reclaim. Right here, 30,000 mass to reclaim, and it's all firmly in easy positions for Team 1 to get to and to start reclaiming. Over here to the south, Icy is still trying to fight his way forward, but I think the conventional land war is no longer working very well for him, and he has seemingly agreed with me going for a Fat Boy, which outranges the T3 Mobile Arty, which should help him out a little bit. And the strategic launch has been detected, and it's coming here to the back of the base. Do we see any anti-nukes other than the one Icy had? This is the only one I see completed on the map right now. There's an anti-nuke over here for NM1501, which I saw, of course, but it is not loaded. Thurnus doesn't have one. He's walking the comm. Icy's even walking the comm because he knows his isn't loaded. Purple's is non-existent, but he's going to try and build his own nuke. So I think this nuke lands. And NM1501 isn't moving his comm yet. NM1501 is dead, isn't he? And with that, our first player for Team 2 now gets ejected, and it's quite arguably the most important player for Team 2 going down right now. NM1501 getting ejected at the 34-minute mark as a large push coming out from the name 01. This could be the mass donation that turns the tides and just puts his team back down below, as a ton of units are now surrounding this GC along with the Fat Boy fire out from Taurus. A little bit of friendly fire is going to happen. It's impossible to avoid it with a Fat Boy, but this GC, as long as it's stopped in its tracks, as long as it can't hunt down the Fat Boy, which right now there's a row of Ravagers that are going to have a angry conversation with that GC. And this is just a mass donation. It's going to land right next to a bunch of engineers for the Tourist. This GC is going to go down, and that might buy some breathing room. It has seemingly bought some breathing room for Nub Fried Rice. All of these units that were pressuring out from Icy Nightmare are dead, or are not dead, but they're gone. They're temporarily distracted. And now Nub Fried Rice starting to push back over here on the eastern side, starting to gain some territory, which is huge. And the air advantage now, of course, for Team 1. When your team loses its air player, you don't really have many ASF, you know? And right now, Ladike trying to capitalize on his earlier nuke play with an Awasa. And this game's power balance may shift once again. This leaves, yet again, it's like Zydeem dying, leaving a huge power vacuum. Icy Nightmare, already with some SCUs out on the field, is starting to move to the west. He's starting to take over this area, and is, as well as Thurn, is starting to take over the carcass of a base left behind by his teammate, who has proven invaluable this game. From the reclaim he's going to provide now, which isn't as much as it could be considering he was nuked, to the earlier snipe onto Zydeem. It's sad to see NM go, but overall, I think that Team 2 is still in an advantageous position. Team 2 still has most of their players, as does Team 1, but Team 2 also just has an eco advantage. IC sitting at almost 500 mass a second is a force to be reckoned with. IC almost alone is out-ecoing the other team. Alone, he's only 200 mass a second behind the opposing team, which may sound like a lot, but that is one player for Team 2. So Team 1 still, of course, in a very comfortable position, and Owasso on the way. Multiple experimentals finishing up. Icy Nightmare's Fat Boy about to finish up. What experimentals finish up for the other side? A GC and a Chicken are done. I think it might have been one of those completing, because it seems as though the Chicken was gifted over either by Ladike or by Locustron to the name 01, and the name 01 pushing on this eastern side. I don't know if this is the right call. I think that personally, if I was the name 01, I would leave Nub Fried Rice to keep dealing with Icy. Nub Fried Rice has been fighting this, he's been fighting this super mass efficient style, trying to protect himself against Icy. He's been fighting against Icy's overwhelming force for so long. You all need to get some critical damage done, and this isn't it, fam. I don't think this is it. But they're gonna push in. Icy transitioning out of Titans. He does eventually do so. He goes Titans, then he goes a Percival Titan mix eventually, and that's what we're in right now. So he does have Percivals. Not an insignificant amount even. And he has a bunch of artillery to be firing here, a bunch of Clink Hammers here in the middle, building a Nuke Eliminator SMD, and he has his units now coming in to try and fight against the GC and Chicken Force. And my word, the beauty that is Forged Alliance Forever on full display here as the Chicken and GC go into a massive land battle against Titans, Percivals, Spearheads, and all of the UEF forces combined. Bricks on screen. Massive fight going on right here. Who's gonna come out on top? I don't know, but at the very least, it's very pretty. The GC goes down. Icy seemingly majorly diminished on the ground. Is he gonna be able to deal with the brick follow-up? The Chicken is gonna die in the middle of Icy's forces, most likely. And that's going to be unfortunate for Icy, because that Ion Storm is going to be painful, as the bricks out from Nub Fried Rice going to be an issue. The name 01 and Nub Fried Rice starting to gain some territory back against Icy Nightmare, starting to buy that breathing room for Nub Fried Rice to work with. And with that, the battle's over. Sure, it's a large amount of mass dumped right here, and sure, there's already a fire base still set up that kind of defends it for Icy Nightmare, but it's gonna buy a lot of room over here for for Nub Fried Rice to work with. Thurnus now being under fire by this Owasso, I believe. He's running his comm, which only leads me to believe that the Owasso is targeted onto him, and that might be true. The Owasso down to sub 10,000 HP, or 20,000 HP, now sub 10,000, as he drops a bomb and kills Thurnus. And that means that this northern side is just going to collapse. Thurnus has so much of the map. It was Thurnus and Icy both taking about half of the map over. And Tourist claiming the Lord's name, apparently, or at least his Lord's name, as Thurnus dies to the Owasso out from Ladike. And did Ladike manage to drop the Owasso off screen? Is it still alive? I believe the Owasso's dead, and I think he managed to drop it off screen. Oh my word, that's actually amazing for him. He drops it off screen so his opponents can't get it. I mean, he did it to himself not so long ago, so he's pretty practiced in that. And overall, with that, Team 1 has evened up the mass total. Killing off a player who owned half of the map got them even in mass. Let me repeat that. They killed off Thurnus. Thurnus had half of the map. All of this area I'm circling with my mouse, he had it. He owned it. It was his. Equal on income. Why? Because Icy is a mad lad, and he has been eco-whoring since the day he was born. Icy working on a Novax now. Speaking of game or standoff technology, the nuke has another nuke loaded, holding on to it for a rainy day. Another Awasa about to finish up. And Icy Nightmare now fighting off against the experimental spam out from the name 01 and the brick spam out from Nub Fried Rice. Nub Fried Rice going to be hemorrhaging bricks over here on the eastern side though, as double Fat Boy is not something your bricks enjoy. It's kind of like taking sunbathing with you need some really strong SPF not to get burned in this sun, in this kind of desert climate where there's high explosive flying everywhere. In my word, the tides of war, the tug of war game going back and forth is breathtaking to watch here. These players giving it their all. And while it has seemed a bit stompy and a bit rompy, it's now basically Icy Nightmare versus the world. The tourist is a Fat Boy, and that's about it. All he really has is a Fat Boy. He doesn't really have. He's not really contributing anything else other than being a massive speed bump in the north for Team 1 to eventually deal with. In the eastern side, it seems as though Icy is faltering. He's losing a ton of territory over to the name 01. Ladike gets a huge bomb off, killing multiple Titans and some of the support units. These Awasas going to be able to clean up the land spam out from Icy quite easily. Another Awasa on the way here soon, I would imagine, as it seems as though Ladike really likes them, and usually the players who like Awasas spam them, and also he doesn't really have a reason not to. Icy is getting into the air, but he still has a massive air advantage. You can just tell by the air, by the ASF clumps, the ASF clouds, that Icy he can't win air right now. But overall, Icy is sitting on a huge eco. Team 2 is still ahead on eco, and they've lost two of their key players. Two high eco, high impact players have died. Right now, the name of the game feels like for Team 1 is kill Icy. They need to kill Icy, otherwise they're in a heap of trouble because Icy continues to eco. I said that Icy is they're ahead on eco. That's entirely Icy. Almost. And he is expanding to his teammates' bases with RAS SCUs. He's gonna have a really, really big eco. He already has one. He's gonna have an unfathomable eco. He's gonna be over 1k of mass a second very, very soon. Icy built a Novax. It's completed. The Awasa is still causing troubles. This Fat Boy out from Taurus, the only thing to his name, is currently gonna get killed by an Awasa. Icy building a ton of anti-air. Some of this anti-air over here going to throw a lot of damage into this Awasa, but not quite enough to kill it, as it's at 3 vet and that extra HP coming in clutch. As chickens start to march on this base is not going to die to chickens. That's a lot of Ravagers out from the tourist. But a few of these mechs is going to go down. A few of these periphery structures going to go down for the tourist. And Icy Nightmare is still consolidating. He's having to reconsolidate and rebuild himself over on the eastern side, as a few of his defenses have been chopped down and he's just lost a bit of map control. But he's making up for it by taking over the bases of his dead allies and having 4 quantum gateways and with which to produce RAS SCUs. He's gonna have a huge eco, and at some point he can just build the Shield or Rambo SCUs, and they are a force to be reckoned with. They really enhance your T3 fighting force quite well. The chickens break through the base. I was wrong, but how much further can they go? Tourist says okay GG, and Control K is not even willing to try and play it out. He was sitting on a decent eco, but Icy sitting at he was sitting at 1.5k. I think that was reclaim related. Icy by himself is out ecoing Oh no, he wasn't. He was almost out ecoing all of Team 1. Icy needs to deal with the chicken. The chicken's now a real threat. A half-health chicken is going to start walking into his base. He has another Fat Boy about to complete. His Fat Boy over on the eastern side kind of chilling. There's an Awasa still in play, but it's at very low HP. Another Awasa on the way. Nano Regen Aura on the way for Ladike, which I don't... For Advanced Regen Aura on the way for Ladike. Don't quite understand that one. But okay. The Awasa firing on some land units over here to the south of Nub Fried Rice's base. Speaking of Nub Fried Rice, he's managed to start ecoing quite well. He's up to 170 mass a second. He's just completed a Megalith, and Icy Nightmare and Team 2 as a whole, which is just Icy Nightmare, finding themselves in an eco deficit for the first time in about 20 minutes. And this game has seemingly gone from hopeless for Team 1, and with some really good plays out from Ladike and the name 01, has turned itself around. Ladike managing to redeem himself for the earlier snipe on his ally by getting the scalp onto Thurnis with an Awasa, and then by using the Awasa to regain map control and buy breathing room for his other players, and the name 01 with just constant experimental spam and pressure. I don't know if all of the experimentals he's been using were made by him, but even if they weren't, he's been using them very well. He's been gifted them by somebody. So somebody is trusting him with all of these experimentals, which has to go for something. An emissary now on the way. I'm guessing that's somewhat in response to the Novax built up by Icy Nightmare. And I don't know where the Novax satellite is per se, but I'm sure wherever it is, it's being targeted actively. Icy does like himself a Novax. I seriously don't know where it is. Is it in the back here? It has to be in the back. It's kind of off screen, which is really annoying because it doesn't get its experimental icon when it's off screen. But it is trying to pressure down onto this nuke launcher, which has 2 nukes loaded. Surprised he's not even just trying to fire that at this fire base. He could kill this fire base if he had the presence of mind to kill that off, and it would really open up the map for his team. His fire base kind of stopping Nub Fried Rice from being too aggressive, as the artillery has done a ton of damage. A lot of these artillery on one veterancy, and with how many he has, he kind of just has a broadside of damage. And just see the artillery from these the artillery shells falling and taking out bricks with each firing cycle. And the Awasa continuing to kill stuff off. Another push on the north. It seems as though a Fat Boy slated to die. A couple more plasma balls and this Fat Boy shield is down, and it's in red hot water. But it does seem as though the chicken's going to turn around at kind of inopportune time. That just means that the chicken dies entirely on its own. But the Awasa out from Ladike coming in, going to be killing off all of this. And over here to the south, the western, or not the western side, over here on the left-hand side, oh, the chat has been spicy. I do hope that I have had some kind of graphic on screen pointing to the chat. That is some spicy chat. Not going to pay attention to it because there's too much action going on. But if you want to have a good time, go back a little bit in the video and watch the chat as it unravels. It's one of the saltiest, most delicious meals you can have on the internet. As the Megalith over here for Nub Fried Rice starting to cause trouble for the firebase of Icy Nightmare. Icy has the artillery firing onto the Megalith, which the Megalith is a big target. It's hard to miss, but these artillery are going to take quite their sweet time with killing off an entire Megalith. But the good news is there's about a bajillion shields to protect them. They will die, but it's going to be a slow kind of process. And if Icy can find a way to protect his firebase over here, I'm sure he will. He really doesn't want to lose his position. It's buying him a lot of breathing room. He's not having to fight a whole bunch. Bricks managing to go through the onslaught of Clink Hammers over here in the south, starting to push in towards Icy's base, and you can see the cracks in the armor, the chinks in the armor starting to form as Icy just not able to be everywhere at once. The drain of playing for 50 minutes straight and constantly pressuring and constantly being in a powerful position, constantly trying to find a way to carry through the game is starting to strain Icy as he's on 2 Novaxes now. The emissary about to complete for the name 01, and that's going to be a game changer the second the emissary completes. It's getting some shielding now from Icy Nightmare, or from Lucastron, as Icy Nightmare's Novax has noticed this and has tried to deal with it, but the emissary is going to complete in 3, 2, 1. It's going to be firing. I thought it was going to take a little bit longer, so my countdown wasn't quite accurate. The Owasso still on the field, still on 3 vet, still about to rank up in vet again. One more good bomb. The Megalith starting to be fired on by more and more, or it was being fired on by more and more artillery, but down to half HP from these Clink Hammers as it slowly managed to deal with the base over here. Didn't kill off this anti-nuke kind of critically. But this fire base still mostly intact. The important bits are here. There's still a bunch of AA, there's still a bunch of triads, and it seems as though the Megalith quite distracted. Fat Boy coming in, gonna try and force this Megalith backwards. Try and force it off of the fire base, and I don't think the Megalith can stay here as a bunch of units over from the western side heading over towards this Megalith. Icy Nightmare trying to hold his ground, trying to stand firm, trying to face the odds and overcome them, as Nub Fried Rice and Lucastron, or Nub Fried Rice and the name 01 trying to get some value out of their units, trying to get some map control back. This northern side kind of just going to Team 1 as Icy is trying to re-expand into his bases. And overall, there's some relatively crazy plays going on all over the map. Trying to see if anything special is going on in Icy's base, and I don't see it right now. This is something Icy has shown me in his games. All of these factories are cut by about 20 to 30% by this single mass fab, and whenever you get into really late game situations, you'll see Icy do this pretty often. He's building up a bunch of these little production facilities, so he always has units. He's up to 714 mass a second, still about 100 mass a second behind his opponents, but of course his mass is a bit more concentrated, able to be spent on projects a bit more streamlined way, in a bit more of a streamlined way. The Megalith does go down to the Fat Boy. The Monkey Lord that was recently finished out from Nub Fried Rice is taking a pounding from both the Clink Hammers and the Fat Boy. The Monkey Lord gonna fall back. The units out from the name 01 gonna need to probably fall back themselves, as they're not really gonna achieve anything standing where they are. The Megalith in prime territory to be reclaimed by Icy Nightmare, but can Icy even spend his mass? He can. And Icy, playing with Thurnis, he probably has somebody screaming in his ear right now about reclaim, because it's obvious that Icy probably isn't spending all of his mass and could spend more. I'm sure he's not power stalling or anywhere close. Yep. Would be surprised not to see a bunch of engineers over here very quickly to try and reclaim that Megalith. And yeah, he's also got 2 people yelling in his ear. I told you he had people yelling in his ear. I know Icy, I know these players. Over here on the northern side, I don't know how Icy's doing this, but you see all of these Percivals? He has the presence of mind to give them individual orders to space them out to where they are really annoying to deal with. The Owasso can only kill 1 at a time, but they're still getting damage done because there's nothing up here to stop them. So these Percival's getting an unnecessary amount of damage done, as Icy just has so much APM to throw at any issue that arises. The Owasso out from Ladike gonna get another great pass off. The original Owasso sitting on 4 ranks of veterancy, trying to get its health back up. This new one halfway to its first rank of veterancy. Icy tries to come in with his own ASF Cloud, but he's still just woefully behind on air. This has been a sore spot for Team 2 ever since NM died. They've been unable to really grasp any kind of map control because the air presence out from Ladike has been superb. He's been on top of all of the units and all of the aggression coming out from Icy. Icy kind of been hemmed into his half of the map, and you may be like, well, he has half of a map to work with. Kind of hard to kill somebody from half a map away. We have Stealth and T3 finished up for Nub Fried Rice. How many Novaxes are we sitting on? It looks like just 2 for right now, a third on the way. The Novax is over here trying to get some damage done. I think you have to hover over the actual satellite to see how much it's killed. First satellite sitting on 14 kills and no rank of veterancy. Second satellite sitting on 6 kills and almost a rank of veterancy. Both of them almost to a rank of veterancy, past halfway at least. And Nub Fried Rice has built an experimental, and a support commander somewhere has died. That wasn't a real commander, so I guess we don't care. 2 Monkey Lords over here on the western side. Gonna be producing issue for Icy Nightmare. Icy Nightmare knows that they're there, but what can he do about it? They have this stealth, which is gonna be super annoying to deal with. And the Monkey Lord's gonna be buying a lot of territory for Team 1. These Percivals came up here and kind of just dealt with any kind of expansion out from Team 1. A lot of Strat Bombers are on the field. Icy needs to be very careful about where he places his comm now. Icy is the only player left, and if he wants to carry this game, he needs to put his comm somewhere very safe. And he does, of course, have tele-defense. He has Fat Boy on the way. He has a lot of AA. He has his own ASF cloud, so he can probably deal with a Strat Bomber run. He'd need a stupid amount of Strat Bombers to one-pass the comm with Shield and also Under Shield and T3 and RAS. This is a pretty difficult comm to kill. A nuke now coming out from the nuke launcher of Ladike, and it's going down here to the south to the nuke eliminator in the fire base of Icy Nightmare. The emissary shells have been flying, but Icy just seems unfazed by the fact that there's an emissary on the field, and that's prompted the name to try and build a second emissary to get a more meaningful, impactful damage done onto Icy. The Novax is also kind of having the same effect, not seemingly winning the game or doing anything crazy, just seemingly being an annoyance that requires shielding for the northern team. Team 2, of course, Icy fighting really hard to try and carry this, but it's just, I don't know where you can go from here. I don't know what he needs to do to win. It seems as though he just needs air. He needs to get air control, and he has a huge air grid building. He probably has a bigger air grid than his opponent, but his opponent's just been producing units for so much longer. The Awasas have still been dropping their bombs variously whenever units come within range. Both Awasas at half health. 131 mass killed on one of those Awasas, 11,000 killed on the other. And oh my word. There is a strategic launch detected for the second time in recent memory. Towards the fire base once again. The issue with this is, say the nuke lands. What are you getting out of it? Because this anti-nuke, like, you're killing off a little bit of production and a fire base that's been causing you issue, but they've wasted so much. They've thrown so much mass on this hill. In fact, I can give you a good idea. This fire base, out of the 300,000 mass, I'm going to guess somewhere around 150 to 200,000 was just from this fire base and the amount of shit they've thrown at it. Also, want to point out, Icy is out-ecoing the entire enemy team on his own as 2 Monkey Lords sneak their way into the back of the base. The Awasa is over here in the middle killing off units, but that's not important. These 2 Monkey Lords could be huge for Team 2. This could really set back the economy of Icy Nightmare. You had a Novax building down here. What happened to it? Did the Novax finish? Did it get killed? I guess he gave up on the idea of building that Novax. But Icy Nightmare in a really rough position as 2 Monkey Lords kind of just in his base. He has a lot of base for them to chew through, but they could really set him back economically quite a bit. One of the Monkey Lords very close to dying, but a lot of units are going to have to come back to deal with this. Another nuke launched over to the eastern side towards the fire base. Doesn't matter if the fire base dies, the fire base dies. An anti-nuke going down now as the Monkey Lord kills it, but there's more where that came from. That is a key thing to keep our eyes on, though. There's still 2 anti-nukes right here. One over here that covers most of the base that isn't destroyed by the Monkey Lords, and another one over here that covers the rest of it. So these 2 are the key positions. The first Monkey Lord goes down to a combination of this Fat Boy and a bunch of Continentals firing down onto it. And this Monkey Lord with 5 ranks of veterancy going to kill off a couple more RAS SUs, not killing off very many mass extractors. and gonna continue to be eating DPS, but it's on a timer. There's enough units coming back to deal with this. This isn't gonna be the critical damage that Team 2 needed, as Icy continues to fight against all odds, continues to get things done, responds to everything seemingly in a very graceful way. And I know this has been about 30 minutes of me stroking the shaft of Icy Nightmare, but man, he didn't have enough anti-nuke, man. 0 out of 10 worst player ever because he just got nuked. Why didn't you have more anti-nuke, Icy? You knew he had a nuke launcher, as it took 5 nukes. There were 5 nukes loaded to kill off a firebase, and the funny thing is, it wouldn't even be that hard for him to rebuild it because the Sparkies are still alive. I told you Icy likes Sparkies. He still has a fuck ton of them. He has 11 here. The Awasas coming out, one of them coming out over here to the past the halfway point, which is a bit risky, as Icy now has a formidable ASF cloud. And that's the 5-vet Awasa. Icy scouting the base, trying to see if anything spicy is going on. 2 emissaries is a bit of a problem, in all honesty, and he's gonna have trouble. 2 emissaries is gonna start getting to the point where it's gonna be hard to shield against without microing shields, and Icy, well, he's only human. He doesn't have enough APM to manage all of this, I don't think. And you can see it kind of draining him. You remember all of those units that he had out on little raids? You remember all those little things he was doing? It's become less so. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. Nope, these are enemy attack routes. He's no longer controlling Percival's individually. He's having to go more broader strokes, broader picture, and also you have to take into account he's been playing this game for an hour, and out of that hour, 40 minutes has been him managing a lot of things at once. He's gonna be getting tired. He's gonna be having issues, and as I said earlier, chinks in the armor are starting to show. He's starting to lose more and more territory. It's starting to look more and more dire for Icy Nightmare, and it's kind of becoming a problem. He needs to sort of come up with a way to end this game. The longer it goes on, I think the worse it gets for him. His opponents can continue to eco up, can start catching up. You can see his eco slowly diminishing it. He was at 1.1k not so long ago, now down to 900. Of course, a little bit of that having to do with the Monkey Lords, but he's gonna start slipping a little bit more the more this goes on. You can only fight 1v4 for so long, and he's been fighting 1v4 for the better part of an hour, and he's, I'm sure, getting drained at this point. Laser now on the way for Nub Fried Rice as we crest the hour mark, and let's go ahead and check on these crazy numbers. 378,000 reclaim for Icy Nightmare right now, constantly over 100 reclaim per second it seems, and 900 mass a second. I'm surprised we haven't seen some kind of game ender coming out, but he just seemingly is going to continue building Novaxes and power generators. And oh my. By the way, as I was saying yet again, if you didn't look at it earlier, look at the chat. If I don't put something on screen to be like, chat, if I don't do some fancy editing, pay attention to chat. I watched it when I was reviewing this replay. It's quite funny. Monkey Lord on the east. Icy trying to push out again. Does Icy have enough ASF finally? He's sitting at 230 ASF versus Lad Ike sitting on 278. He has enough ASF to win an air fight if he plays it right. But I think Icy is going to wait for a better air fight. He wants to feel like he can win it, and I get that. He's been behind on air for so long. I think that if he can get a handle on the air, if he can kill off these couple of Awasas, if he can get rid of the strap bombers that are constantly killing off all of his land units, I think he believes he can overwhelm the enemy. And there's no reason to believe he's wrong on that front. He has 7 T3 support factories assisting, but over 20 T3 support factories on the field. I'm sure some of these are assisted. He has a metric fuck ton of land units on the field right now. If we just look at the land units, 4 Fat Boys, 48 Cougars, 109 Percivals, 63 Parashields, and what is to stand in his way? Other than the Awasas, very, very little. These fire bases will disintegrate with the number of Percivals he has. He just needs air control, and I know Icy, and I know he's smart enough, and he has the skill in the moment to identify what he needs. He's gonna identify that this air control thing has gone on for long enough, and of course he identified it probably forever ago. He's just struggled with getting to the end. He's struggled with the means. As laser is done, teleporter is on the way for Nub Fried Rice. And where is Icy's comm? He's going to be trying to get closer to all these T1 PD. But he also, another thing you can do when you're this late in the game and you have all these SCUs, put a bunch of SCUs beside you. They don't have the greatest DPS, but they do have enough DPS to matter. Or just keep a bunch of SCUs pretty much everywhere. I think it'd be suicide for Nub Fried Rice to try and teleport into the main base. But something he could do is go for Icy's power grid. He doesn't know it, but Icy can only afford to lose about 5 to 10 P-gens, or probably less than that, probably about 5, maybe 6 T3 P-gens, and then he's probably in a stall and has to start pausing shit. So right now Nub Fried Rice probably needs to focus on that. Nub Fried Rice getting shot at by Novaxes because he's not underneath Seraphim shields, which are protecting the rest of the base. He's getting shot at by these Novaxes. Is he gonna die before he can teleport out? He needs to run away the second this teleporter is done. He does do so. Control K some of these engineers. Oh my gosh, Nub Fried Rice in a spot of bother. Is she an interesting situation? Chicken completed for Locustron. Does he hand that over to the name? I think he's been doing that mostly. Multiple Fat Boys still on the field. I don't know if he's still building Fat Boys, but he still has 4 on the field as far as I can tell. And he's starting to close in. I think Icy might have determined that he has enough air. He is at 281. Ladike was at 280 something earlier. Icy realizes he's at... I think Icy is starting to realize he has an air advantage. Or at least starting to feel like he does. He's starting to push out with land more and more often, and I think very soon he's going to have to take an air fight. He can't be sacrificed. Like, he had 109 Percivals not so long ago. He's at 125. So despite constantly losing Percivals to shit like Awasas, he's still doing pretty fine on that count. Did the original Awasa die, or is there still 2 kicking about? That dude finally lose an Awasa? He did! One of the Awasas died to the mass anti-air and mass parashield. Wow. Icy Nightmare killing Awasas with anti-air and parashields. What a mad lad. What a Chad. And Icy Nightmare, I think, is going to close this game out. The teleport is coming in, I think. Where's the teleport coming in? I don't see the queue. Where's the comm? Comm right here is about to start teleporting. Has it tried teleporting? What are you doing, Nub Fried Rice? He could go for one of the SMDs if they want to, like, edge nuke, but at this point, if Icy moves all of his SCUs and his comm, he has enough air to protect himself. I just don't see what Team 1 can do. Team 1 gave Icy too much time. They gave him too much room, and admittedly, Icy made it difficult, but still, Nub Fried Rice starting to try and he's trying to run somewhere. I don't know where he's going to teleport, but that's the one thing we need to keep our eye on. Maybe he can get a telesnipe off. I doubt it's possible with Icy Nightmare's comm in such a secure location, and he's built even more T1 PD to protect himself. And overall, the Fat Boys are coming in, and Icy Nightmare making this game look like a survival mode as Fat Boys and Percivals encroach from every angle. Is the teleport coming through? I'm unsure. Nub Fried Rice's comm over here. He's trying to teleport. He's next to the comm of Locustron. The Fat Boys are encroaching. The Percivals are coming into the territory of Team 1. Icy hasn't even taken an air fight. The Strat Bombers really need to start getting involved with all these land units. They need to start killing off Fat Boys. One of the Fat Boys has died. Maybe a second one's gonna die very soon. A lot of these Percivals starting to push in, and territory, inch by inch, Icy is fighting back the bases of Nub Fried Rice. Nub Fried Rice just teleported into the backline, but the Ravagers, he just teleported in, and the Ravagers are already enough DPS to kill him off. Nub Fried Rice is dead. without killing off nearly enough power generators. He did kill off a couple, I think, or maybe even just one. But with that, I think Icy Nightmare has clutched this game. Icy Nightmare. Whoa, wait, no, the emissaries are firing and they're about to land on the comm of Ice. They landed on the comm of Icy Nightmare. Something killed his SCUs. That I don't even know what that was. Icy is still fine. He has pretty much full health. He does have full health. But this man is a GOAT. He is a legend. There were 5 challengers to his crown. He spoke of the olden days where he played the map Dunes of Arracis. I thought he was joking, but he said he is one of the best players on this map, and he meant it as he kills off Lucas Tron. And that's game. It's over, I'm pretty sure. I don't think Ladike or the name 01 have what it takes to take on Icy. I think Icy has clutched it out. It took him over an hour. It may take over an hour and 10 minutes, but Icy has taken on the impossible. He's taken on all challengers to his throne, and he's raised his sword in victory. The man has put on a masterclass in carrying a game. This GC micro desperately by the name 1. The Awasas still being micro desperately. Somehow Ladike still has air control. Don't know how. And is still microing these Awasas for everything they're worth. But I just don't see how they can win. They don't have a game ender. They have a couple of emissaries, but they've had a couple of emissaries for a long ass time. Icy's been eating emissary shells for breakfast. So with that, I'm gonna speed up the game in the interest of everybody's time. Icy Nightmare putting on a stunning show. I think there's 3 artillery pieces now. Maybe there's a Hovatham. Okay, maybe I'm wrong, but that's another support commander going down. I think Icy's comm is fine. In fact, I don't even know where Icy's comm just went. It's over here still, isn't it? What the hell? I'm having so many struggles. Let's slow this down. Let's select Icy. Let's select his comm. Icy's comm. Move to the center of the base where there's more shielding, which makes sense. And, man. Is this not over yet? Oh my word. Icy still hasn't won it. I could have sworn that push would end this. There's multiple Novaxes still firing. And a lot of the base is now missing. The name 01 down to 26 mass a second. Icy on quadruple the mass income of his opponents. By himself, I want to mention. And taking over the majority of the map. Has a massive line of T1 factories to spam Lobos at the enemy base. Just trying to do anything to force out APM from his 2 opponents. But what is Ladike gonna do? I mean, this nuke was a good play. Killing off Thurnis was a good play, but in the end, it just feels like everybody just played such an amazing game. The stars aligned. And Icy has... You know what? I'm speeding it up. If Icy loses, I will eat my own hat. But I don't think Icy's gonna lose. I don't think there's any silly mistake Icy can make. I don't think Ladike has a bunch of teleport SCUs. He has mainly Cybern SCUs, which can't even teleport. He has a couple of them here, but they don't have teleporter upgrades, so... Overall, I think Icy's gonna close this out. He kills off the last Awasa. And with no more Awasas, there's nothing here to protect him. He's also, I think, killed off all the strat bombers. Except for maybe a couple stragglers or ones being built now. T1 bombers coming out now. Carried this game, to be honest. Tourist and Thurnis giving us a masterclass in how to trash talk each other in the middle. Icy Nightmare spamming the slash emotes in victory, taking his victory lap as he comes in with the Fat Boys and he comes in with all of the units to siege the base for one last time and end the game. The comm of the name 01 right here, and along with the comm of Ladike. They put on a good show. They fought Icy to the bitter end, but in the end, the king lives long and prospers. Thank you all for watching. Thank you to all of my Patreons and all of the channel members who support me. If you want to support this channel more and you want more amazing casts just like this one, consider hitting the join button down below or clicking the link to my Patreon in the description. Totally annihilate the subscribe and like button. Dislike if you disliked it. Leave any criticism or any advice down in the comments and I'll try and reply to you. Y'all are beautiful. And I'm just gonna leave you with this beautiful shot as Icy sieges down the base.